at some of the specifics on this house. We've got a 3 bedroom. Let me get down to all the details here. It says 1,076 square feet. So again, we really got to dig in a little bit deeper on the square footage of the property because a lot of times that's not correct. This is like a Cape Cod style, and they call it a tri-level also, but to me this is more like a Cape Cod. It is a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 car garage. It's not 1 story. It was built in 1951. This is a good looking home in a plus location. So it does say that there are village code violations on the property. That's something that's very common, not unusual. Whenever we're getting one of these homes, the village has already maybe been through the property or had an exterior inspection and then has a laundry list item. We'd have to get that before we move forward. But let's look at some of the comps, all right? So we've got our subject property that's right here. We're located at 841 Robin Hood Lane in LaGrange Park. Again, I don't have a lot of, I have no interior photos of the property. So let's look at some of the comps around the subject. So I'm going to try to find something that looks similar to the subject property. And that's somewhat, whenever we're looking at comps, we want to try to identify something that visually looks the same. That is going to always be your best comp. You're not always going to have that, or your best comp will be further out. And if you do have that, the problem you run into is, are you in a different neighborhood at that particular point? So you want to try to stay within the same neighborhood whenever you can. Unfortunately, in the Chicagoland area, we can do that a lot of times just because we're so densely populated. So like LaGrange Park, pretty much every street other than nature preserves and things like that, that's going to be the only open space. So let's just take a look at a property that's very close to the subject property. Here's one that is, again, a very small house, 917 Meadowcrest Road. This one has been, totally rehabbed, and it has. So they did a nice job. Pretty standard renovation inside the property. Looks like it was probably an investor. It's just some light staging from what I can tell. I'm just guessing that it's staged, but it looks staged to me. This one here sold, let's go through the numbers on it. It's 1,044 square feet. So this one's a ranch. It is sold for $337,000, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1 car garage, built in 1958 and took 38 days to sell. Great comp, okay? I mean, the square footage is very similar. It's not a large home by any means. Yes, it's not identical to the subject. We kind of have a little bit more space upstairs. But again, a 1 car garage, $337,000, totally remodeled. So this is a comp that I'd like to put into the mix. There's another property that's active. Let's skip over that for right now. Let's look at this one here. Here's a lower sale. I want to dig in. I want to look at the highs and I want to look at the lows. So this particular property here, this one is at 526 Barnesdale. And this one, again, on the inside, it's nice and tidy and clean, just it's not updated. So that's one of the only issues with it. It says it's 1,000 square feet. Again, we want to just kind of keep that in the back of our mind. Sold for $260,000, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1 car garage, 1 story, built in 1954, and it sold in 48 days. All right, so we've got 2 totally different sales. One that was totally renovated and sold for $334,000, and then we have another property that's not renovated and very similar in design and style. Again, it's not that kind of has that second level to it. This one's dated at $260,000. So we got to go, all right, well, why? There's 334 to 260 is a huge spread. So to look at the difference between the two. So let's just pull up another property that would be kind of something that would be maybe in the mix here. Here's one that's on Blanchard. Let's take a look at this property. This is getting a little bit further away, but the design and style is very similar to the subject property. The one thing that we can tell with this particular home is it's definitely dated. I mean, it's clean and tidy, but it needs pretty much everything to bring it up to today's standards. So this one was an estate sale as well. So we want to keep that in mind. When it's an estate sale, that's what we consider like a distress type situation. So they're going to sell for a lower price and it needs work. It was 1,031 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with a 2-car garage, built in 1950 and took 58 days to sell. So now you look at it and we've got 330,000 completely renovated. We've got 2 properties that are at 257 and 260 that are not completely renovated, that are all right in the same general area. Then that's when I would start to dive in and let me look at some active comps, something that's active on the market. What's a good property that would be listed for sale? And let's try to find something that's real close to the subject property. Here's one that's it's on LaGrange Road. Not really going to be the best of comps. LaGrange Road, if you don't know, is a rather busy road, so I'm going to take that one out. I want to use something that would be more similar to the subject. Here's one that's on Washington that's active. So, again, a clean and tidy property. This property's been on the market for some time, but it's definitely dated, needs a little bit of work. And really, for myself, I'm not going to compare us to this, but it's giving us an idea of what's out there. So we have, if you kind of go back and you think about it, we had sales that were at 330,000, one sale that was at 334,000, and then we had another sale that was at 260,000 and another one in the 250s. The lower sales being needing some significant renovation to the property to bring it up. The one at 330,000, tip top, looks great, in perfect shape. So I want to almost kind of split the difference on this one a little bit. I feel that that 330 to me, based on the comps that are out there, seems like a high sale, and I would probably pin us closer to the $300,000 mark on the property. So if we could buy this property, again, I really think that this is extremely low for the area at 180, 179.9. I think if we could pick this property up for somewhere in the neighborhood of around, if we could buy it for 180 to 185,000 as a buy price, yes, that's over. I genuinely think that's the situation we'll be in here. Around 185,000, property is valued at 300,000, and looking at the property, I don't have interior photos, so I've got to make some assumptions. But a property like this, city violations, going through all that, I'm going to have like $60,000, $70,000 in renovation. So if I was to look at this property, net profit after all expenses, this would leave us with around $40,000 to $45,000 in profit after all expenses. So 841 Robin Hood Lane. I can send you over in the link here or below. I have a link directly to where you can submit a bid on the property. We can get that submitted in for you on chaseforeclosure.com. But just click the link below in the comments, and I will. All you need to do is just fill out just some basic information, and then we get everything prepared to get the offer into the seller. All right, thanks guys for tuning in.